Walk into almost any Walmart, Dollar General, or small corner store in America, and you'll notice the same scene repeating itself. People who are already stretched thin are standing in line, spending money on things that quietly lock them into staying broke. This isn't about enjoying life once in a while or buying something nice as a reward. This is about a clear pattern I've watched play out for decades. There are 7 specific purchases that consistently keep people stuck financially year after year. When you look closely at families who never seem to get ahead, these same items show up again and again in their shopping carts, their homes, and their driveways. What frustrates me most is that no one ever explains why these choices are so destructive. Today, that changes. I'm going to walk you through exactly what these 7 things are, why they drain your future, and what smart money does instead. To understand this, you need to start with how you think about money. I grew up during the Great Depression. We didn't have much, but my father taught me a lesson that ended up being worth more than any business deal or investment strategy I ever made. The real difference between struggling financially and building wealth has very little to do with how much you earn right now. It comes down to how you treat every single dollar that passes through your hands. Poor thinking says, I have money today, so I'll spend it today. Wealthy thinking says, I have money today, so how do I make it help me tomorrow? Every item on this list is rooted in that first mindset. The encouraging part is that thinking can change. By the time you finish this video, you'll see these purchases for what they really are, and you'll know what to do differently. The first and most damaging mistake is buying a brand new car. I see this constantly in lower income communities. Someone finally lands a decent job, maybe earning $40,000 or $50,000 a year, and the first big move they make is walking into a dealership and signing up for a $35,000 car with a 6 or 7 year loan at high interest. It feels like progress, but financially, it's a disaster. The moment a new car leaves the lot, it loses about 20% of its value instantly. Not over time, not after a year, immediately. That means you paid $35,000 for something now worth around $28,000. You're already $7,000 behind before the first payment is even due. Over the next 5 years, that same car will lose another 40 to 50% of its value. By then, it might be worth $15,000 to $18,000 while you're still making payments on a loan that ends up costing more than $40,000 once interest is included. Wealthy people don't play this game. They buy used vehicles that are 2 to 4 years old. Someone else has already absorbed the massive depreciation. A 3-year-old Honda Accord or Toyota Camry that originally sold for $30,000 can often be found for under $20,000 with years of reliable life left. That single decision can save you $15,000 or more. If that $15,000 were invested and left alone for 30 years at a modest average return, it could grow into more than $250,000. That's the real trade-off. A new car smell today versus financial freedom later. I personally drive a used car. It's comfortable, dependable, and every time I get in, I don't think about a payment going out the door. I think about what that money is doing for my future instead. That mindset shift is everything. And once you understand that, the next mistake becomes impossible to ignore. Once you understand how damaging a brand new car can be, it becomes easier to spot the next trap because it operates on the same flawed logic. The second mistake is buying lottery tickets and scratch-offs. The lottery is often described as entertainment, but in reality, it functions as a quiet tax on people who are already struggling. That isn't an insult, it's math. The odds of winning a major jackpot like Powerball are about 1 in 292 million. You are more likely to be struck by lightning twice than to hit that jackpot. Even scratch-off tickets, which feel more realistic, are designed so the average payout is less than what you spend. What makes this especially painful is who spends the most on these tickets. Studies show that households earning under $30,000 a year often spend around 5% of their income on lottery games. 5%. That can easily be over $100 a month. When you step back and look at it over time, that same money invested steadily, even at a conservative return, could grow into hundreds of thousands of dollars. Instead, it disappears for the chance at instant riches. The lottery feeds on hope, and I understand why. When life feels stuck and the path forward isn't clear, spending a few dollars on a dream can feel harmless. But hope alone does not build wealth. Discipline does. Consistency does. The real escape from financial stress isn't luck. It's putting your money to work instead of handing it away to impossible odds. If you're buying lottery tickets, the smartest move you can make is to stop and redirect that money into a retirement account or a simple investment fund. That's the only lottery where patience almost guarantees a win. The third trap is payday loans and cash advance services, and this one is especially cruel. These businesses are designed to profit from desperation. The setup is simple. You need $500 right now, so you agree to pay back $575 in 2 weeks. That $75 fee might not sound extreme, but when you calculate it as interest, it comes out to an annual rate of nearly 400%. To put that in perspective, credit cards are considered expensive at 20%. Payday loans are in a completely different universe. The real danger is what happens next. 2 weeks later, most borrowers still don't have the money because they were already living paycheck to paycheck. So the loan gets rolled over, another fee is added, then another. Before long, you've paid hundreds of dollars in fees and still owe the original amount. Data shows that the majority of these loans are renewed within just 2 weeks, trapping people in a cycle that's almost impossible to escape. I know the common response when your car breaks down or rent is due, you feel like you have no choice. But there are always better options. Asking for an extension, setting up a payment plan, or requesting an advance from your employer may feel uncomfortable. But none of those choices come with 400% interest. And once the immediate crisis passes, the real solution is building an emergency fund, even if it starts small. A few dollars a week can eventually protect you from ever needing one of these loans again. The fourth mistake is rent-to-own furniture and electronics. This one is especially deceptive because it feels affordable. You see a couch for a small monthly payment or a television that fits neatly into your budget. What's hidden is the total cost. That low monthly fee stretches over years, often resulting in you paying 3 or 4 times the item's actual value. These companies don't care about the furniture. They care about the payment structure. They rely on people focusing on what they can afford this month instead of what it costs in the long run. A far smarter approach is buying used or keeping things simple. Secondhand furniture, estate sales, and local marketplaces can furnish an entire home for a fraction of the price. It may not be perfect and it may not impress anyone, but it does something far more important. It keeps your money in your pocket and gives you control. Right now, the goal isn't luxury. The goal is stability. And once you start protecting your money instead of bleeding it out in small payments, the remaining traps become much easier to avoid. When you stop paying 4 times the value for furniture just because the monthly payment looks small, another common habit starts to stand out. The fifth mistake is buying extended warranties and insurance on small items. Almost every time you purchase electronics, You're offered some form of extra protection, phone insurance, laptop protection plans, warranties on headphones or appliances. On the surface, it sounds responsible. Nobody wants to be stuck replacing something expensive. But once again, the math tells a very different story. Take a $1,000 laptop as an example. You're offered a 3-year protection plan for $200. It feels reasonable until you realize most manufacturer warranties already cover the first year. Many credit cards extend that coverage for another year automatically if you use them for the purchase. That means you're often paying $200 for just one extra year of coverage. And statistically, electronics tend to fail very early or last well beyond the warranty period. You're essentially paying to insure against an unlikely event. Phone insurance is even worse. You might pay $11 a month, which adds up to over $100 a year. If something happens, there's still a deductible. Over time, you can easily spend more insuring the phone than it would cost to replace it. A smarter strategy is to self-insure. Instead of sending that monthly fee to an insurance company, set it aside in a savings account. Over time, that money becomes your own safety net. If something breaks, you pay for it. If it doesn't, you keep the cash. Insurance should only be used for losses that would seriously damage your life financially, like your health, your home, your car, or your ability to support your family. Everything else is better handled through saving. The sixth trap is expensive cable packages and too many streaming services. I've seen people earning modest incomes, spending $200 a month on entertainment without even realizing it. Cable, internet upgrades, multiple subscriptions, premium channels, it all blends together. $200 a month doesn't feel like much, but over time, it's massive. That's thousands of dollars a year and tens of thousands over a decade. When you factor in missed investment growth, you're trading long-term financial security for constant access to content that isn't going anywhere. The reality is that you don't need everything at once. Basic internet and 1 or 2 streaming services are more than enough. You can rotate subscriptions, canceling one and starting another every few months. The shows will still be there. Sports can be watched with friends or at public venues, often for less money and more enjoyment. Entertainment is meant to be a small part of your life, not a permanent drain on your future. Relaxation matters, but so does peace of mind. And peace of mind comes from knowing your finances are under control. The seventh and final habit is fast food and convenience store spending. This one is especially dangerous because it feels harmless. A few dollars here and there doesn't raise alarms, but it adds up faster than almost anything else. Buying lunch every workday, grabbing snacks at the gas station, stopping for coffee on the way to work. Over a year, these small choices can quietly cost thousands of dollars. Even cutting back slightly can make a meaningful difference. Preparing meals at home doesn't require perfection or gourmet cooking. Simple meals cost a fraction of what eating out does. Making coffee at home costs cents instead of dollars. Buying snacks in bulk from a grocery store saves you from paying inflated convenience prices. Every time you choose convenience, you're paying a premium for it, often 4 or 5 times the actual cost. That premium comes directly out of your future. What all 7 of these habits share is a focus on immediate comfort. They make life feel easier right now, but they steal from tomorrow. This is the real dividing line between financial struggle and financial stability. Short-term thinking asks whether you can afford something today. Long-term thinking asks what it costs you over time. When you start viewing purchases through that lens, everything changes. That $5 coffee stops being $5. It becomes tens of thousands over a decade. That new car stops being a monthly payment and becomes lost opportunity. Once you see money this way, it's impossible to unsee it. And that awareness sets the stage for the final step, turning knowledge into action and building a system that actually works for you. Once you reach that point where you truly understand what these small choices are costing you, the conversation shifts from awareness to action. Knowing the problem is important, but nothing changes unless behavior changes with it. This is where most people get stuck. They agree with everything they hear, feel motivated for a day or two, and then fall right back into the same habits. That's why the next step has to be simple, realistic, and immediate. Start by taking an honest look at your life right now, not the version you wish you were living, but the one reflected in your bank statements. Identify which of these 7 habits are currently part of your routine. Don't guess. Look at the actual numbers, pull up the last 3 months of transactions, and highlight every dollar spent on these categories. Add them up, then multiply that number by 4 to get a rough annual total. Most people are shocked when they do this. What felt like small, harmless spending often turns into thousands of dollars a year once it's written down in black and white. The goal here isn't guilt. It's clarity. You can't fix what you don't measure. Once you see the real numbers, pick just one habit to eliminate or reduce. Not all 7, not even 2, just one. Choose the easiest one to cut so you can build momentum. Maybe it's lottery tickets. Maybe it's one streaming service. Maybe it's buying coffee every morning instead of making it at home. The specific choice matters less than the act of choosing. Now comes the most important part. The money you save must be redirected immediately. If you don't give it a purpose, it will disappear somewhere else. Open an investment account if you don't already have one. A retirement account like a Roth IRA is ideal if you qualify, but any basic brokerage account works. Set up automatic transfers so the money moves out of your checking account without you having to think about it. Automation removes emotion, and emotion is where most financial plans fall apart. Start small if you need to. $25 a month is fine. $50 is fine. The amount doesn't matter nearly as much as consistency. What matters is proving to yourself that you can interrupt the old pattern and replace it with a better one. After a few months, once the first change feels normal, pick a second habit to cut, then a third. This isn't a crash diet for your finances. It's a permanent shift in how you operate. A lot of people believe wealth comes from making more money, but that's only part of the equation. Plenty of high earners are broke because they spend everything they make. Real wealth is built by keeping more of what you earn and putting it to work for long periods of time. Small amounts invested consistently grow in ways most people underestimate. Time does the heavy lifting. Your job is simply to stay in the game long enough for that to happen. I've been investing for most of my life, and I can say with complete confidence that there's nothing mysterious about it. The gap between those who struggle and those who don't isn't intelligence or luck. It's behavior repeated over decades. The people who succeed financially aren't perfect. They don't always make the best decision. They just make better decisions more often than not, and they stick with them. This process won't transform your life overnight, and it's not supposed to. What it will do is slowly remove stress, build confidence, and give you options. Emergencies stop feeling like disasters. Retirement stops feeling like a fantasy. You begin to realize that control over your money leads to control over your time, and that's the real prize. At this stage, the path forward should feel clear. You know what's holding you back. You know what needs to change. The only question left is whether you're willing to make those changes and stay disciplined long enough to see the results. And that decision is made $1 at a time every single day. At this point, everything you need to change your financial direction is already in front of you. There's no secret formula waiting to be unlocked and no dramatic moment where everything suddenly becomes easy. What separates people who win with money from those who don't is the willingness to follow through when motivation fades. This is where discipline takes over. And discipline is never exciting. It's quiet, repetitive, and often invisible, but it works. One of the most powerful things you can do right now is write down the single habit you've decided to cut. Put it somewhere you'll see it every day, on your phone, on your desk, on the fridge. That reminder matters because temptation doesn't disappear just because you understand the math. You'll still feel the urge to buy convenience, comfort, or distraction. The difference is that now you know what that purchase really represents. It's no longer $5 or a small monthly payment. It's a choice between short-term comfort and long-term freedom. Every time you pause before spending, you're exercising a muscle most people never develop. That pause is where wealth is built. It's where you stop asking whether something fits your budget and start asking what it costs your future. When you think that way, your relationship with money changes permanently. You stop seeing spending as harmless and saving as sacrifice. Saving becomes power. Investing becomes progress. Spending becomes a decision, not a reflex. This doesn't mean you can never enjoy your money. It means enjoyment is intentional, not automatic. You plan for it instead of reacting in the moment. When you do spend, you do it without guilt because it's already accounted for. That balance is what makes the system sustainable. People fail financially not because they're incapable, but because they try to change everything at once and burn out. Slow, consistent improvement wins every time. Over the years, I've watched countless people transform their lives without ever earning massive salaries. They didn't invent anything. They didn't get lucky. They simply stopped leaking money and gave their dollars a job. Month by month, the pressure eased. Year by year, their options expanded. Eventually, they reached a point where emergencies were inconvenient instead of devastating, and retirement felt achievable instead of terrifying. This is why small decisions matter so much. A daily coffee habit, a streaming subscription you don't use, a payment that never seems to end. On their own, they feel insignificant. Together, they shape decades. The financial gap between people isn't created by one big mistake. It's created by thousands of tiny choices made without thinking. The good news is that the same principle works in reverse. Thousands of small, disciplined choices can quietly build something powerful. If there's one thing to remember from all of this, it's that wealth isn't about being smarter than everyone else. It isn't about timing the market or chasing trends. It's about consistency. It's about showing up for your future self even when no one is watching. The people who succeed financially aren't the ones who earn the most. They're the ones who protect what they earn and let time do the rest. So here's your final assignment. Commit to stopping one habit this week, not next month, not when things feel easier. This week, write it down. Track the money you save. Move it automatically into an investment account and don't touch it. Then repeat the process again in a few months. Let progress compound just like your money will. Come back to this message in 6 months and measure where you are, not just in dollars, but in stress, confidence, and control. If you stay disciplined, the difference will be undeniable. Your future isn't decided by luck or income or circumstance. It's decided by what you choose to do with the next dollar you earn. Choose wisely.